Hey, everybody. If you just tuned in, you were either looking for or discovered the Two Old Bucks. And this is our podcast, and we're on episode 174. And when you're two old bucks, every episode is a milestone. So
Every episode's
this
a
is,
milestone. This is the other Buck, by the way.
yes, old Buck
The
Dell.
one who's not introduced, apparently.
Uh, and with me, of course, is old Buck Dave.
Old Buck Dave, yeah.
So what adventures have you been on? I know
Some good and some quite not quite so good. I could tell you one story here. I guess
Okay.
I would call this a confession, sort of.
This is just between us, Dave. You know,
Just between you and you, just between Dave and Dell. Nobody else. It's just the two of us here. Yeah.
you can tell me.
This could be a public service announcement. I kind of fell off a ladder the other day.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Yeah. Did
Well, you're
something.
talking to me, so you dodged that bullet. Tell me
I
how you did
dodged
that.
that bullet. You know, we're not on video here, so you can't see the sling in my arm. No, I'm okay. So that's the good news. The story has a happy ending. But you know what happened is we have these high ceilings with some draperies hanging down from them on the sides of the windows. And my wife noticed that one of the attachments was pulling out of the wall a little bit. So this was done by someone else other than Dave. I just want you to let you know that I did not put up the defective attachment, but of course it was my job to fix it.
About how high was that? How high is the actual drape?
The probably about I think it's a 10 or 12 foot ceiling here, and it's
Oh.
foot and a half below the top.
I'm doing the math now. I'm doing the
Yeah.
math on you.
So did
How
I bring
high-
out did I bring out the big ladder that I had to dig out in the corner of the garage?
That would have been too
No,
much trouble.
that would have been too much trouble. Let me get this step ladder that's really too short to do the job, but I'll make it work. So anyway, so I
Because
get
if you stand on top, there's your 10 feet that you need plus 3 feet of arm.
there you go. That's
Right.
it.
Okay.
Yeah. So so I got up there and I got the drapery taken down, and I take the drape away, and then there are about 7 holes drilled there where somebody has done it incorrectly. Okay, and it's pulled out before. So I thought, okay, we're going to move this over a couple inches and just start all over again. So I did that, and I thought, well, I really need to patch these holes here, even though nobody's going to see them. This is just not right. So the rod is only at this point, it's only about 2 feet long. Okay, so it's just a short piece hanging down.
And you're on the right side. No, you're
Well,
left-handed, so you're
I'm
on
left-handed. I'm left-handed. I got
you're
my
on the left side.
Yeah, I'm up there, and I did some stuff on the one end, and I moved the ladder. Okay, and really, I'm up on the last rung that you can stand on, before you get to the absolute top of the ladder.
Right.
So
Which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is one rung too far.
one rung
already.
too far in this case. Yeah. So I had I have my calf pressed against the top of the ladder. So that was my orientation point there. And I said, oh, there's some more. I got to reach back and spackle some more of this stuff. That didn't look good enough. So I'm reaching, and then just ever so lightly, you feel yourself losing that balance. Okay. And I'm starting, I think I'm going to fall. I'm going to fall. And unfortunately, before I fell, I pushed off with one of my feet, and I was able to jump off of the ladder and land on my feet. If I hadn't pushed off right then, I wouldn't have had enough time to get to my feet. I'm not as quick as a cat. So
I'm picturing that, and I'm picturing all the variables. If there was something that was in front of you when you were jumping, like a glass coffee table.
oh yeah, that baby it would have been not pretty. Yeah.
B,
Pretty.
if there was another drop off, if there was any sharp cabinets. So if you put all the circumstances together, you really did luck out. And I don't know.
did.
I don't mean to make light of this at all, but if you had fallen, it would have been a disaster.
It wouldn't
It
have
would
been
have been a
good.
disaster.
No, no, no.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sort of making light of it, but it was a serious thing, and I've kind of learned my lesson.
Use the proper ladder
Use the proper
at the
ladder.
right height,
Hmm.
move it accordingly, and don't reach back to get that last little piece.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you could tumble.
yeah,
Well, okay.
yeah. So
I'm
that's
happy for you. And the
I'm
lesson,
happy for you. You know, you think you're
all the
happy for
listeners,
how happy you think I am.
I'm sure all the listeners have a, I'll bet you all the listeners have a ladder story. I can think of smaller ladders that, I was able to sort of, I've stepped back off of into a cardboard box and almost fell over
Mm.
backwards, that kind of thing. I'm sure most people out there have a ladder story. And
I have a couple bad ones actually. I've got a bad track record with ladders. I think maybe this one cured me though. I was up, painting the second story of a house outside once with a ladder. And again, I got the I got the can of paint in one hand and I'm reaching, trying to get a spot just further over there. And the ladder just kind of wiggled over onto the fresh paint and it just kept going. It just slid sideways down the side of the house. I rode it all the way down. I rode it all the way down and didn't drop the paint. But again, that was just stupid.
and you have to be at the perfect angle to do that.
Yeah,
If
it
it
was
was
just,
if it was
yeah,
too steep, you would have never been
yeah,
able to do that.
yep, yep.
So with a shallow angle or something, you can probably do that until the ladder reaches about 3 feet, and then it'll just sort of drop. Well, I hope you learned your lesson. And like I said, anybody who has a ladder story, go ahead and send it into
Yeah.
to Bucks Too Old.
Send
I'd
us
be
your
curious to
ladder.
see what.
Send us your ladder story. Send us your
tell us
close call. How about
tell us your
any
ladder story.
close calls? Yeah.
Hey, there are subjects, believe it or not, there are subjects, Dave, that no matter how you mention it, everybody's got a story.
Mm-hmm.
You know what
Yep.
I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like one time I mentioned something about laundry and laundry rooms and washers and dryers. I was with really a bunch of ladies that day, and just immediately everybody has a story about some event, some crazy thing that happened to them while they were
Mm-hmm.
doing laundry.
Oh yeah.
So
Yep.
ladders, laundries, everybody's got one. If you got a
So
story, folks, send it in. I'd be curious to
send
hear
it
what you
in.
have to say.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. Yeah.
So what else is new on your end?
Hey, I saw a
So
football game over the weekend. Did you see it?
I saw half of it, and then I heard some noise and got up for the last 8 seconds or something. So yeah,
Okay. Oh man.
I
What a
saw
game.
100 reruns of it. So
100. Yeah. Did you have a favorite there? Were you rooting for one of the teams?
sort of. I'd have been happy for anyone that either side if it was a good game, if they earned it, and
Yeah, that's pretty much the way I felt too. I am a Mahomes fan. I just like his style, and he really figures out what to do to make it happen. But both quarterbacks were just both teams. I think it was probably the best Super Bowl ever. It was a close game and went into overtime. My gosh.
well, believe it or not, I was mentioning it to two other gentlemen that I saw just a little while ago, and it's a game of ifs, and it's always an if it went this way, if that would have happened, then it would have changed.
Kind of like
If
life.
it is, and you just
Is
don't
it?
know when and it's just I think a football game is full of ifs. I mean, it's just the way the
Yeah.
nature of the game. So had so and so not blocked that punt, if they'd have scored when they did, they analyze it ad
Yeah.
nauseum.
Had you not cut that class in college, and life's all about it. It's a lot of there's a lot of
But I did
branches
not
on
stay
that
up.
tree of life.
The
Yeah.
hype on that was so great. It was so
Oh, yeah, it was
unbelievably great.
overwhelming,
I was over. I
overwhelming.
was.
It really
I
was. Yeah.
mean, if there's anything over top in America, it's Las Vegas, and they definitely were over the top about every effort there. So
Yeah, we had it on early, like I don't know, an hour and a half before the game, kind of in the background. And these characters, these announcers, it wasn't the game announcers, it was these other guys. They were just not interesting. Not they thought they were very funny. They were just not funny. It's like, oh, when did this get over? Anyway, hey, so you did not see the any of the festivities?
You
Other
mean
than,
halftime or
well, did you see Post Malone sing that song at the opening of the Super Bowl beginning?
no? I was actually watching something else and I kind of waited till the last minute just before kickoff. I mean, I didn't want to get overwhelmed with
Well,
Super Bowl
yeah,
stuff.
if anybody saw that, they'll remember that boy is covered with tattoos. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
everywhere. You remember that?
No, but I think I know who you're talking about now.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
is just covered all the way, his fingers everywhere. And I'm thinking, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking, man, he's never going to get into a scrapyard. I'll tell
In other words, he better not be taking he better not be taking a hot water
you. If he
water tank to the
they're
scrapyard. They'll be making him identify every
they're
tattoo
not
he
gonna
has.
they're not gonna take his hot water heater. I'll tell you.
Isn't that a bad thing to do? Isn't it hard on your liver to have that much ink in your system? I
I
mean,
had no idea. That's a good
yeah,
point.
yeah.
That's a good point. Maybe somebody can
I
write
think
us a
that
note
is
and tell
I
us.
think that's a dangerous thing to do, to have so much tattoos that your body is always trying to eliminate. That's a foreign
Yeah,
subject, foreign
yeah,
object, that
yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah.
So
So yeah, the halftime show was kind of nothing special for me, other than Alicia Keys. That was the best thing about it for me, because she is one of
well,
the best on the planet in my mind. Anyway, say what about so you didn't see Kelsey acting up there? You missed all that?
I I saw that because I watched sports. I was watching the sports channels afterwards, and you can YouTube it if you want to. They highlighted that. I'm not sure what he was trying to say, but I think that he was actually standing in the end zone and they missed him and he went back to tell him something. But they covered that very nicely, by the way. He went over to
Yeah.
tell the coach he loved him.
He went over to tell
And
the
the
coach
coach
he
said
loved him. Yeah.
he was just all excited. And so he bumped into me and caught me
Oh,
off guard.
that was kind of ridiculous. He just about knocked him over, and he's yelling in his face. And then you see his little performance at the end of the game when they were interviewing him and
That
passing the trophy around. My
that
God,
was a
he was
side of him I did not know. I mean,
you know
he's quite a character.
he's got a girlfriend right now, and if I were her, I'd be paying close attention to his behavior when he gets a little wound up.
Tell
Uh,
him to cool his jets in public.
there just might be a message for the future there. So
Well, we'll
just,
see.
I,
We'll see
yeah,
how it goes.
I wish them the best, but the girl he's dating seems nice. I don't know.
Ah, she looks like someone that can handle herself. So we'll see.
Probably, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's now behind us,
That's behind us for another
and
year. Phew.
yeah, we can. I'm thinking we ought to just wait. Some other event will come up that will attract all the news media and be all the full hype. So we'll just stand by. There's always another one after that. You know what I mean. You never can go 2 months without a big to do of something.
Yeah. Well, we had Caitlin Clark from Iowa. She broke the NCAA women's scoring record.
In
Did you?
fantastic style, by the way. I saw the
Oh man,
highlights of that
what a great player she
from
is.
mid-court.
She is so much fun to watch, and she's complete. She's a great passer. She's really a complete player. She is.
And who is she beating? Do you know who she's beating?
Who's she beating? Everybody
She
that played just about.
Yes, but who has the record?
Well,
That's a good stump the buck
she's got
thing.
the women's record. The I think the all-time record is what's the guy's name?
Pistol Pete.
Pistol Pete Maravich. Yes,
Yes,
Pistol
indeed.
Pete.
So, and she's only 90 points away from that.
She's going to break his record too.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
So
So
best of luck to her. She's
Pistol Pete Maravich.
terrific athlete, fun to watch. Yeah,
Do you remember that? Do you remember those days
I do remember Pistol
it was
Pete
like
Maravich. Yeah,
it was so funny. He got that handle, and it was like no matter where he was out in the court, he'd just sort of throw the ball up. I don't know if he was looking at the basket and it would go
yeah, and
in.
I mean, she's like him, and you see how quick her release is. Her release of the
Yeah.
ball is so quick. It's really she's a
Well,
spectacular athlete. Anyway,
all the best to her.
all the best to Caitlin. Yeah. Let's move on to letters from afar,
Okay.
or in this case, it would be letter from afar. uh, okay, this is talking about your the jury duty scam that you talked about last.
Oh yeah.
Okay. a listener wrote in and said,
Someone went in, someone got caught with that? Maybe? No.
well, listen, it says, the jury duty scam happened to my niece. She was out of the country when it happened, and they texted her official papers that said she had missed serving her jury duty. They wanted her to give them her credit card information for a fine, and thank goodness she was smart enough not to do that, especially since the papers had the Pittsburgh official seal for the court on them. When she returned home within 1 or 2 days, she went to the courthouse to get it straightened out, and that's when she found out it was a scam. Those people are so intelligent, they devise these scams, but can't get a proper job. So that's a good letter. That's a good letter. So again, that's
Actually, it
heads up,
is.
folks. You know,
It doesn't qualify as a proper job according to what society, but the way they do that, they're very good at it. I mean, the fake websites are just almost
mm-hmm,
identical. I mean, they are identical in every way, shape, or form.
mm-hmm.
So you just have to be cognizant that those guys are not going to ask you for your credit card over the phone. That's just
Yeah.
that's the only key. If you fall for that portion of it, that they would do that. They're that angry with you for not showing up for jury
Yeah.
duty.
Hey, I got some other news to pass along. Some great news.
What's up?
You recall our interview some time ago with Bridey Thielen Heidel, still our top rated episode. And
Yep, I do. She's a sweetheart.
she is. And we mentioned a week or two ago, or maybe 2 weeks ago now, that she was giving a TEDx talk, and it has now been published. It is out there. We'll put a link in the show notes to it. It's titled "Rob the Trauma, Steal Back Your Life," and it's the themes of being in an abusive family, being abused, and the trauma that's involved, and how you really can survive that. And she's living proof that you can survive that and flourish and help other people. So congrats to Bridey.
Yeah.
Look in the show notes, folks, and you got to listen to her TED talk. I think it's less than 20 minutes. It's maybe 16 minutes, something like that. Really well done as usual. So hats off to you again, Bridey.
And that's success, or that what progressive. I mean, I don't know if you'd call it a success. I think it's a successful that she's able to do this because she's talented.
Yes, she
And
is.
she's just been
Clearly.
recognized. Yeah,
Clearly.
recognized for that.
I'm not sure.
Well, the two old bucks, in my view, really want to wish her all the best. I mean, we're really happy that she's
Yeah.
come a long way as she has. So,
Amen. Hey, which is, speaking of that and speaking of trauma, that brings me to something I want to mention, which is real important for next week. Next week, we are going to be interviewing Yulia, and I have not practiced her last name enough to get it right. But she's one of the Ukrainian women that is in Saint Omer, France, if you think back to that. And she was one of the women that Eurobuck Paul interviewed when I was too sick to get out of bed and interview her. She has put a project together. It's very it's very touching. It's a These are diplomas that have been issued to students who were killed in the fighting in Ukraine before they were able to graduate. It's real touching, the effort that she's put into this, and so we're going to talk to her next week, and she's going to talk about her program, about this effort, and about other things as well. So
well,
everybody, please tune in, not tune in. There's no tuning here. You're downloading. Okay. I know we both say we're on the air. There's no air here. There's no air. But
well, that's reminds me of a subject. As I commute back and forth to my little helping job on remodeling, I get up early and I take two buses. And on the first bus at about 7:30, there's a large group of people that get on that speak all kind of different languages.
mm-hmm,
In fact, mostly where I'm sitting, I don't understand anything.
mm-hmm,
And I think I mentioned this because they are all going to the kitchens and to the hotels and to, I mean, at that time of day, they all have their little outfits on. You can see these group all work together because they all have a pink shirt on or, that kind of thing.
Yep.
It's like there's this undercurrent of people that move around that keep everything else running.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
they clearly made their way to America and starting at the very, bottom. So there's a lot of stuff and talk about immigration and people
Yeah.
but when you see them like that, I don't know, they're real people and they're just people trying to get by and make a go of it and they're keeping a lot of stuff going.
Yeah. Well, we
So,
certainly have a big kind of a mess at the border now, and we've got to sort out our immigration program.
I have a comment on that if you
But
got
please do. Yeah. I was.
well the way I see it, if we had formalized, if we had given them a system, if there was something they could do, people would immigrate. They still come from like Afghanistan. We brought a couple 100,000 people that worked for us, right? So they came in under a different program, but people would still mingle in, and we still need them. We still need them to do these jobs. We
We.
still need them because a lot of us, like you and me, we're not working anymore, and we still like to go to dinner. So, but
Yeah.
if they would have organized this, if they'd had a plan where they would fix this thing,
Despite what some would say on FOX News,
mhm.
these people are not all criminals. They're coming here to improve their lives. What's wrong with that? I mean, that's what my wife's family did. That's what my wife did. She's an immigrant. That's what my grandparents did. They're
Yeah,
immigrants.
yeah, and tons of others. It just for some reason they're making this an unfixable situation, or at least only one person can fix it. But I mean, I see them when I see all these kids and people moving around. I'm thinking, boy, oh boy, they they made it, and now all they need is a chance.
Hmm.
And but they're keeping the kitchens running. They're keeping the hotel, rooms clean. They're doing this. They're doing that
Let's hope that we get some resolution to the whole
to
border
that
issue
issue.
here,
Yeah.
because we need immigrants. We're not making enough babies to replace ourselves. So we in this country. So
Well, wait till all the old bucks and everything drop off.
that's right.
We might still be alive, but we won't be moving around so much to do anything. Who's going to come to the house,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
spoon us our oatmeal,
Yeah.
while we're sitting in the
Don't
wheelchair?
even get down that
I'm
road.
not gonna get that.
Okay. I want to get back to talk
Go
about
ahead.
a little bit more about immigrants here in a
Yeah.
different light. Okay. I mentioned this a week or two ago that I was going to talk about the Netflix series I saw called Beef. Remember Beef? I talked
You
about
you
beef.
mentioned beef. Yeah.
I
You
mentioned
said.
Beef. All I did was kind of mention the name. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So because I really had just started watching. I think I'd watched one episode, or maybe I hadn't watched any yet, but I wanted to watch it. Anyway, this is 5 stars. This is 5 out of 5 for me. Now, this stars Ali Wong, who's the comedian. I don't know if you've ever seen her stand-up comedy. She is a riot. And Stephen Yeun, who is he's the male lead here, the male star, and it's almost exclusively an Asian cast. Okay. Now, the story is now she has married into a well to do family of artists. Okay. Her husband makes these ceramic sculptures, which people seem to be willing to pay big bucks for. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So his mother was famous. He's, well to do. They live in a spectacular house, and she's got this small business that she has that she's trying to sell to a larger company. Now, so if she can pull that off, I think the deal was going to be like $10 million or something. So she can basically prove herself that she's just not along for the ride. So that's who she is in this. Now Stephen he's a small contractor. Speaking of what you were talking about, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and he's always struggling to pay the bills. He's trying to make enough money to build a home, build a house for his aging parents, and bring them to the U.S. and have them retire into this house. Okay, and he's beset by one setback after another. And the story starts at the parking lot where the two of them almost have a fender bender, and then she ends up chasing him down the street, and they're giving each other the finger, yelling, da 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 da. And that's where the story starts, and that's where it takes off from. And there's a lot of subplots involving family members. And this first episode is a bit over the top, but you really stick with it. It's a wild ride. It's a really solid story, and it's so much human emotion, and it's got just a perfect ending. So I would highly recommend Beef, folks, on Netflix.
And you're saying beef, Beef?
BEE, yeah. The title is, it's they have this road rage, a feud, a beef as an
Oh, that
argument.
kind of beef.
Yeah, argument. Yeah.
Oh,
Although there's also a subtitle of beef because he just loves he loves hamburgers. He loves fast food hamburgers. Okay, so I think it's just really well done, and they talk about there's so many subplots with respect to immigrants and
but that's not the way that beef is spelled, is it? Is this if you have a beef with somebody, is it spelled beef?
beef.
EF?
How would you spell it? Well, I'm not forgetting. You
B-I,
can't
and
spell
me, I
anything.
would spell it BIEF or something to change
BIEF.
it.
Okay, well, I
I mean,
shouldn't be
English is a
surprised.
strange language. I mean,
Uh,
you got to distinguish these the different meanings of words. Why do we have same word meaning so many different things? Try to do a puzzle sometime. You'll understand.
I'll understand. Okay. Oh, jeez.
Well, anyhow, there you go, folks. If Old Buck Dave recommends this, I would say go ahead and check it out because it sounds like it's a very entertaining plot and just a good story. And you love a good story. You love a good short story. There's
I
no
love
doubt
a
about
good
that.
short story. I haven't had any comments about whether anybody's read The Fjord of Killary. That it was well, on the surface it was all these drunks in this pub in Ireland, and the storm was happening outside, and the water was rising and starting to flood the
And,
place. But
and they were still sitting there drinking, huh?
they were having fun. Yeah. But it's really about a midlife crisis. Okay. So it's something I think a lot of people can identify with.
All right. Well, we've run the gamut of a lot of thoughts. I'm thinking
Well,
our listeners got to have this. They got to be thinking of all this stuff too. They just need someplace to write to and tell us about them. That's what they need to do. And the old bucks will run with it.
yeah,
What do you think?
I think that's a good idea. Hey, I got one more thing before I'm kind of long-winded today, but
Mm-hmm.
I got something. This is really serious. I want to do an editorial. So,
Ah,
we generally stay away from politics. We stay pretty far. I've dabbled into it a couple times, as have you here on the Two Old Bucks podcast. But this is something that's happened that's just too important to ignore. To give you a heads up, I'll say one word: Trump. He's been a lot of things, most of them pretty much negative in my view. And yet, his followers seem to excuse him for his bad behavior and his bad judgment in so many fronts, be it, treatment of women, minorities, making fun of people, immigrants, all the suppliers he's stiffed over the years, the Republican politicians who disagreed with him and found their careers ended. In short, his treatment of anybody who doesn't worship him. Yeah, he's a narcissist where, everything in life is a transaction. Essentially, what's in it for me? How can this make me more important to everybody else? But he's done some recent comments that have really gone far beyond that are, I think, existential frights in my mind. Now, here's a quote. Okay, now these are his words. Let me see if I can find this here. Okay, this was in a recent interview. This is dealing with NATO. And he said, this is a direct quote. He said, one of the presidents of a big country stood up and said, well, sir, if we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? I said, you didn't pay? You're delinquent? No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. You got to pay your bills. You see the message that this is sending out to the world, to our allies, to our enemies. The NATO treaty was signed, I think, in 48, 49. And the big deal was treaties are, Article 5, where they agreed that an armed attack against one or more of them shall be considered as an attack against all of them, and that following such attack, each ally would take such action as it deems necessary, including the use of armed force in response. Okay, now in the history of NATO, Article 5 has been only invoked once, and that was after September 11th when our allies came to our support over that. This talk is dangerous. He's telling our enemies it's okay to attack our allies. He's telling our allies they're only as good as the last check that they mailed to NATO. This is just beyond the pale. I can't understand why anybody would want this person running our country. So I'm not telling you who to vote for. Well, I'm telling you who to vote against. He is a clear and present danger. I'm sounding kind of cliched now, but yeah, I mean, if you look at you look at NATO, the target is that the member countries pay, invest 2% of their GDP into defense. Okay, now that means into defense. That doesn't mean sending it to another country. That means in defense. Okay, now guess who is paying over the 2%?
Ukraine?
Lithuania,
Oh, yeah.
Estonia, Latvia, Finland, Poland, and Hungary, Romania, a couple other countries. Most of these countries are bordering Russia and Ukraine because they know that if Putin gets away with this, they're next. He said that. He has said that. Let's say Putin or Iran attacks Italy. Italy's under the 2% right now. Trump says, "Hey, go get them, man. They're behind in their dues. Take them out." That's his world. It's just that simple.
I often wonder how welcome he would be if he was president after saying stuff like that. I just find there's going to be repercussions for even thinking like that. And as an American who may travel overseas, I'm going to be pretty uncomfortable about how welcome I am.
Yeah. All right, that's the end of my editorial.
The old Bucks, yeah, there's our editorial, and you know how to write to us if you have thoughts on anything we said today. And with that, I would say this is Old Buck Dell saying, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you again next time.
And this is Old Buck Dave right behind him. Take care, folks. Talk to you again soon. Come in, listen next week as we interview Julia. Bye-bye.